I never want to be in a position of defending Donald Trump, but there's really not a hell of a lot you can do when you're negotiating with the Taliban. I mean, remember, there was a time in which we kind of bifurcated this as the good Taliban and the bad Taliban. Do you remember this one? Yeah. In Pakistan, they're all bad, right? And so the second you actually enter negotiations with, 7th century psychopaths, you have to understand that they're never going to abide by anything. They want the entire country.
Right.
It's 10 cities, 12 cities already. And I'm thinking this morning when I see the news about this, is what are the odds that on 9/11, 20 years after those attacks, where the people who launched those attacks were harbored in that country, are going to be retaking fucking Kabul? 20 years after.
And they're mortar sapples.
And that really rubs it in your face.
And they're mortar sapples.
And those things can work in the short term. I mean, surges can work. They did in Iraq and the Anbar Awakening and things like that. But the problem is that we can win wars if it just means beating bad guys and that's it. But beating bad guys and staying around and keeping that infrastructure and actually making sure that it blossoms into a society, this is not 1945. That was never going to happen. And you see these lists that people have made, and some of them are quite heartening and impressive of what has happened in Afghanistan over the past 20 years, the number of girls that go to school, et cetera. Yes, but it's all gone now. It's all going away. I'm glad that there was a generation for 20 years that grew up never knowing the Taliban, but they're about to know it again, and it's never going to be a democracy we hope it will be. I spent 5 years, unfortunately, just out with people who are mostly Trump voters. And when you talk about climate change, it's usually this that comes up, by the way. They've been saying this for so long. It's going to be a disaster, and what has happened? And sometimes people point back to, the 1970s. They said it was going to be global cooling, et cetera. Those are the ones that have a few more data points. But it does have that effect because people can't, much like spending, can't get a sense of that, period of time and what could happen. So they say, this is just the same old stuff we hear, so there's more government control and more government spending. But it proves the point. It was like 300-some-odd thousand people that went to Lollapalooza in Chicago, which is kind of shocking. And there were like 200 cases, maybe 300 cases. And I don't think any of them required hospitalization. And people are attacking Obama purely for partisan purposes. If Republicans want to be, kind of consistent about this, and they've been, attacking lockdowns, and particularly in California, Gavin Newsom covering these things up outside. This is the exact same thing. Why are you attacking them? And all this stuff was outside.
If you're going to be super sanctimonious about COVID, which I'm not for, but Gavin Newsom, Nancy Pelosi, Lori Lightfoot in Chicago, they all got caught being hypocrites, saying, you know what, everybody be very careful, but I want to live my life again. We all want to live our life again. There's lots of ways
they set policy for their states. Barack Obama lives in Martha's Vineyard.
Okay,
leave the guy alone.
He had a